Hey lovebirds, welcome to We Time Convo. I'm Debbie.
And I'm Liza.
In this episode, we will be chatting about our favorite love stories from movies, TV shows, and maybe share some of our own personal tales.
We will be breaking down the iconic romances, the over-the-top ones, and the ones that made us laugh, cry, or cringe. Whether it's real or made up, we're here for it all.
So Liza, I wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Debbie. So Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Yes, I know. So you're my first Happy Valentine's.
Oh, thank you. Because I don't have one. So you, Peter, have any plans?
He will be working, but more than likely, we will probably grab dinner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Does he get the flowers and the candy and all that good stuff? Like, are you a big fan of Valentine's Day?
Am I a big fan? I like Valentine decorations, and it used to be fun when Vanessa was younger, but me in particular, not really.
Yeah. I usually get the girls like a little something, like either flowers or candy or something. So I always typically do something for the girls.
That's very nice and sweet.
Tomorrow, actually, I'm flying out to the Philippines.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. So I will be on my way to the Philippines on Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be bringing love to all of the motherlands. Get ready for me, Philippines. So
yes, well, today in the tradition of Happy Valentine's and love in the air, we wanted to talk about some iconic love stories.
yeah. Do you have one to share? Like a personal one? Do you consider you like how'd you meet Peter? I know we've talked about this before, like in different episodes about how you guys met, but like, was it love at first sight?
No, it was lust at first sight, I think. But you know, it's interesting because don't you think like love is just, it's different in different spaces of your age. I read somewhere that there's no such thing as a soulmate. I don't know. Do you believe in soulmates?
One thing to know about me is I'm a hopeless romantic.
Oh.
I believe in love at first sight. I believe in soulmates. I believe in twin flames. I believe in all of that, right? Just because I wear my heart on my sleeve.
So I'm going to correct myself. So there's like, when you think of a soulmate, you think about one soulmate, but supposedly you have many soulmates. The only reason where it becomes the soulmate is timing. So as long as you meet your soulmate at the right time, then that is your right soulmate. But if you, again, the concept is you have many different soulmates, but the timing is off. And so therefore it doesn't become you the soulmate.
That makes sense. I've never heard that, but that actually makes a lot of sense. I haven't found mine yet, but
the timing's not there.
Yeah, the timing's not there. That's fine.
Yes.
I'll let the universe do its thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, personal story, as you know, Peter and I hit our 2-year mark of our marriage, and it's been a crazy ride. I don't know if you can recall, but Peter proposed to me literally like, I want to say almost 5 months of me and him dating. And then, you know, we just decided to get married. And when we got married, we literally knew each other for like, I don't know, 15 months and decided to just get married.
The rest is history.
Yes. It's exciting and it's great and you learn a lot. And it's, for me, I think what ruined this whole like concept of love is when I was younger, I used to read romance novels.
Like the porno ones? Like the ones that have porn in it? That's what I think about when
like
I think
the Harlequin novels? Like that one?
I think it's like low-key porn.
Well, maybe when I read it, I didn't realize it was like low-key porn. I mean, it was just like one of those things where it was like this fierce, you know, female figure that falls in love with this like this very like rock solid
handsome
like, man that's like kind of quiet and, you know, but powerful. So to me it's more of like lust at first sight
or a slow
love.
burn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you know, but then again, I love movies. I don't know if you have any movies or love stories that you want to share.
So I am always all about the non-traditional, like non-conventional, different love type of stories. So I'm just going to throw out my personal story out there because it's different. It's not your typical love story, you know. So I'm going to talk about David, which is Ava and Violet's dad. We were, as you know, we were together for 18 years. I met him when he was 18 and I was 22. So I was robbing the cradle. We both worked at Toys R Us together because I was a single mom with Haley at the time and she was 4 and I needed a second job. So I decided to work at Toys R Us. For those of you who don't know, I miss Toys R Us. It's such a great.
I'm so sad. Do people know what Toys R Us is?
So sad that my kids will never experience it. But it was a toy store, and we worked at the one in San Jose and McKee. So I worked at the front at the main desk, and he would always ask for his paycheck because I passed out the paychecks.
Okay.
And
did you notice right away?
No, he was a flirt, and I was like, this kid, like, go away from me.
Okay.
And then he finally, he kept asking me, and I was like, you know what? I have nothing else going on. I'll just give this guy a chance.
Sure.
We had our first date at Golfland, and we casually actually saw each other for a year. Ooh. And then I finally decided, I'm just done with this casual business. And I told him, I said, I think I'm done with this. I'm going to walk away from this because I'm looking for something more. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, let's do it. Let's be in a relationship. And the moment I knew that I fell in love with David was when you're an 18-year-old guy. You're dating a mom that has a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. And he just took her in
his own.
What 18-year-old guy would want to do that? And I realized he loved me so much that he was willing to give up his bachelor life, his life in his 20s to help me raise this child, right? So, we built a beautiful life together. We were together for 18 years. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but we're co-parenting well right now. And I can honestly say that I love this man, but not in the way that I fell in love with him in the beginning. But I just have so much love and respect for this man that he is the love of my life.
Aww.
Yeah. So shout out to David. Yeah. So that's my personal story.
So Liza.
Yeah.
In the spirit of Valentine's, do you have any love stories that stick to you from a pop culture perspective?
Actually, yeah. So one of my favorite ones is actually 50 First Dates with Adam.
That's a good one.
With Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, which I love Drew Barrymore. So in case you guys haven't seen it and have been living under a rock, I don't know the specific names. I just know their characters. So what it's about Adam Sandler. It's in Hawaii. It's based in Hawaii. He's this total playboy, likes to date around, mess around, total player. Mm-hmm. And he goes to a restaurant and he meets Drew Barrymore. And of course, he falls in love with her and he tries to romance her, right? And he starts to go there every day and tries to win her over and realizes that she just is okay, whatever. I don't know you. You're just a patron here, whatever. And he tries to romance her. And then he realizes that she actually had got into a car accident, I guess, previously, I don't know how many years before, years back, where she only remembers things that happened in her previous life before the accident. So she remembers she has a brother, a dad. She works, at that restaurant, all her friends, everything before that.
Yes. Yeah. So she basically has short-term memory loss.
Yes. Anything after that. So, and her memory resets every day.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing about this, though, is that every day, because she lives with her dad and her brother, every day her dad does the exact same thing for her because she wakes up and relives the same day every day.
Yes.
So, and I think one thing that I remember is that she loves to paint. So she would paint something in the garage that day. Every night, the dad would just repaint it white so that the next day she could repaint it again.
Yes. I remember the 51st date.
51st date. So anyway, so Adam Sandler finds this out and he does this thing where every day he tries to romance her. And it's funny because every day there's some days where she'll be like, oh, this is cute. I like this guy. And they'll have a great date. And the next day she just doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then she finds out what happens to her, that she has short-term memory loss, and she tells Adam Sandler, I don't want you to do this all the time for me. Mm-hmm. This is too much this is a lot, for somebody. Like, please, just go about your merry life and live your best life. And as she goes into this institution, because she doesn't want to put her dad and her brother through that, every day, and Adam Sandler realizes that she's worth it. She's worth, having to tell the same story every day, reliving everything every day.
Yes. And the wild part is because she continues to paint. Yeah. But what she does, even with her short-term memory loss, so she paints, and he somehow finds out what she's been painting, and she actually paints him.
Yes.
But she doesn't realize who this guy is.
Yes.
And so it's amazing because, again, short-term memory loss, she's not supposed to remember, but somewhere in back of her mind, she remembers him because she paints him.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. And so it ends where they obviously get together, but every morning before she wakes up, it says, like, please watch this video. And so every morning she watches this video and explains to her, this is what happened to you. This is, what has happened. So, like, you can come out now. And so she understands, so she doesn't wake up freaked out, right?
Where she's at.
Yeah. Yep. And, they're on a boat with her dad and her brother fishing and Adam Sandler, and they had a baby.
Yes, I know. I remember this movie.
Yes.
It is a very funny, cute, romantic movie.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's just somebody that loves you so much, that's willing to do this for you every day for the rest of your life. Like, gives me goosebumps. So beautiful.
Yes. No.
Yeah. How about you, Debbie?
For me, what comes to mind is Legends of the Fall. I don't know if you've ever watched it or any of our listeners have watched it.
I think that's an old movie. Like,
it is. Yeah. It came out in 1994. So I'm really dating myself here. But it is, and the reason why I call this a love story, I don't know as I walk you through, I don't know if you'll consider it a love story, but, it's an amazing. Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins star in this movie. And essentially it's about one family, and it's about a father who has 3 sons. Alfred, who's the oldest, and he's more like, the good son, does everything right, is just kind of the epitome of what a son should be. And then the second child is Tristan, who happens to be Brad Pitt, and he's kind of like the wild child. Like, he doesn't play within the confines of what
he doesn't listen to the rules
are.
Yeah.
And then the third son is Samuel. And Alfred and Tristan are very overprotective of Samuel. And Samuel brings Susanna to Alfred, and Alfred is mesmerized by her. Now, and again, she's very ladylike. And then she meets Tristan, who's Brad Pitt. And when she meets Tristan, you can tell she got hit by a ton of bricks because she was in awe of him. So already it was a little bit of a messy love story happening on here. Long story short.
These brothers seem super thirsty, by the way.
Long story short, Samuel passes away, and Tristan comes back home to tell his family that Samuel passed away. Susanna obviously is heartbroken because she was planning to get married to Samuel. But then what ends up happening is her and Tristan fall in love. And so it was beautiful because it seemed like Tristan kind of needed her because he was so heartbroken that his brother had passed away. And so anyways, they were together, but then something unsettling happens to him. And even though he cared about her, loved her, he was still unsettled. So he basically said, hey, this is not working for me, and he leaves. So she's heartbroken.
Like, did he fall out of love with her?
It's not that he fell out of love with her, because I think he cared about her, but I think he just realized he wasn't, this was not for him. So he was still unsettled. Like, maybe he needed her because he was heartbroken over his brother, but he realized he still had some internal issues that he just couldn't work out. And he realized that he was making her unhappy, but she just loved him. Right. So even though he was unsettled, she was willing to just stick by that. But he was like, no, this is not working out. So he leaves. She's devastated. Anyways, so years later, he comes back, right? Because now his heart, for whatever reason, whatever
he fixed his business.
He fixed his business.
Yeah.
So he comes back and he finds out, guess what? Susanna is married to his older brother.
You know, this pisses me off because they always come back and it's always at the wrong time.
So
it is. It's always too late.
But here's the thing. So he realizes she marries his older brother. And
Tristan?
Yes.
Wait,
Tristan.
Okay.
Tristan realizes she marries his older brother. And you know what? He accepts it, right? Because he realizes like, hey,
he missed out.
He missed out. She's moved on. We all need to move on. So he ends up falling in love with someone else. And so they end up, having their own kids, and he's living his life. So he finally meets her, Susanna, and what ends up happening is you can tell that she still has feelings for him. Even though she's married to his brother, even though he's moved on with his life, she's moved on with his life, she still knows that she has feelings for him. Well, and she realizes she's not happy with her marriage. And she realizes,
with the older brother.
Yes. Yeah. So she ends up committing suicide.
Ooh, that's kind of dark there, Debbie.
I know. She ends up committing suicide because she just kind of somehow goes a little crazy. And so essentially you would think Tristan and his brother, something happens, but then they actually connect and they realize that they still love each other. Like they still care about each other. They still love each other. Tristan becomes unsettled again, but now he has kids. So what ends up happening is he goes away. And he leaves his 2 kids with his older brother to take care of. I thought it was just a beautiful love story. Like the whole storytelling of this movie was great. I mean, I guess the love story between Tristan and Susanna was, tragic. Yeah. But again, I guess love stories don't have to just continue to be love stories.
I love it. And I love love stories like that even though they don't end up together, there's still love there.
Yes.
And they still throughout their lives thought about each other, still felt that love for each other. So it's not a traditional love story.
Well, no, it definitely is not, but I don't know. It resonates with me because I don't think you don't get that perfect love story.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about love stories is you think it has to be perfect. And it's not. Like true love stories just stand the test of time because you put effort, you deal with the good and the bad. And the realization is it's like you can still have love and it can be a love story in many different ways, shapes and forms.
Yeah, exactly. Just like me and David's quote unquote love story, it's still a love story, even though we didn't end up together at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So another one that I actually really like, and this is a different kind of love story now that we're talking about love stories, is I actually read this book a couple years ago after, me and David had split up because I was going through this transition phase. I haven't seen the movie, but it's also a movie. It's Eat, Pray, Love.
So you read the book, but
I read
not
the
watched
book.
The movie.
Not the movie, and I should. And it's a memoir by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she actually is going through a divorce, right? So she decides she wants to do this whole self-love, self-discovery thing. And she travels to Italy, India, and Indonesia just to kind of find a deeper connection with herself. And that actually gave me the idea when I read that to do a solo trip, which is when I went to Santa Barbara. Because I was like, oh, this is inspiring, and along the way, she learns to appreciate her own company, heal past wounds, and rediscover her own happiness. So at the end, she just falls in love with herself.
Now that's not the traditional love story, right?
I love this love story because I'm in that phase where I'm learning how to love myself. And I feel like that is the biggest love ever, is once you start to fall in love with yourself, you can openly fall in love to loving others, right? So while there are romantic relationships in the movie, the real heart of the story is Elizabeth's internal journey towards self-love and acceptance. So I think that is a very beautiful love story. I should watch the movie because Julia Roberts is in it. She plays the main character. But the book is even more beautiful as well because she kind of talks about her travels around the world and how beautiful everything is. And just the way that she describes finding herself and loving herself, it's beautiful. So I highly recommend it. Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah. Another one, and I know this is going to sound super cheesy, is Twilight. Have you watched Twilight or read any of the
I read
Twilight?
all the books in my 20s, watched all the movies. So yes, I know of Twilight. Go ahead.
Yes. So obviously there's Bella, Edward, and Jacob. So there is this triangular
with a werewolf, with a vampire.
Yes, I know. It's so fantasy,
Yes.
right? And like I said, so cheesy. But yeah, this resonates with me because it was just, it's like so fantasy. But it's amazing because to me, it was like you have this one girl who's into these two guys for two different reasons.
And mind you, she's completely normal. She's not a vampire yet. Yeah.
Well, and so like she falls in love with Edward just like on sight.
Yeah. And she doesn't know that she's a vampire yet.
Yes.
But obviously he's super pale in the movie.
Yes.
And he walks around her like she smells like shit. But it's because like he wants her blood. He's a vampire.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is in like he is like addicted to her like on drugs.
Yeah.
And so, but like it's crazy because, the way I saw it was Bella was so enamored by Edward, but Edward was so protective over Bella.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
it was hard because he knew he can't have her.
Yes.
Because he's a vampire and she's a person.
Yes.
And he was kind of refraining from her because, I mean, vampires want to suck your blood, right?
Well, and he knew it just wasn't the life that he wanted her to live.
Yeah.
Right. Because he felt like this wasn't a great life.
Yeah.
And then obviously he leaves her. She's devastated. And then she leans on Jacob. And Jacob,
which is the werewolf.
Yes. Yeah. And Jacob is just this guy who just like, come on, Bella, you can do it. Like he encourages her. And some of it is a little bit dangerous. Nothing that Edward would let her do. But then Jacob allowed her to like do things, right? And he wasn't
like
so,
be herself.
Yeah, so overprotective. So it was like this crazy triangle. But at the end, she realizes that she's in love with
Edward.
Yeah.
And like, spoiler alert, she allows herself to become a vampire.
Yes.
So that she could live with him forever. Because the thing was, he's like, what's going to happen? We fall in love, we get married, you're going to grow old and you're going to die.
Well, and no, but she didn't want that.
Yeah.
But he was okay with that.
Yeah.
But she didn't want that.
Yeah.
She wanted to be with him. And so she was okay with being a vampire.
Yeah. But when you read the books though, I don't know if you've read the books, like it was a good love story. When I read it, I was so into it.
Yes.
The books are definitely a lot more different.
Better.
Yeah.
I think the books definitely is a lot better than the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so.
Yeah. And then she friend zoned Jacob. They're best friends at the end. That's fine. But I was always team Jacob. Were you team Edward or team Jacob? I like warmth. I don't like cold. So I can't be hugging up on a vampire all cold and shit like that all the time.
I liked the whole dynamic of the three. Like,
you like a threesome?
No, not necessarily a threesome. But I think what it was is just the realization that she had to pick one,
mm-hmm.
right? And so she picked Edward, but she also knew that she had love for Jacob, and Jacob realized that he needed to move on,
and he did love her, but now it's in a different way.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of love stories.
There's way too many.
Yes.
So one of my personal favorites. Did you ever watch The Office?
I love The Office.
Oh my gosh. So Jim and Pam.
Yes.
So I watched The Office live as it came out. Like, sometimes it comes out later and you binge watched it. So Jim is John Krasinski. He's like the sexiest man alive to me in my eyes. They work together in The Office.
Yes.
And when they first meet, or when the show first starts, she's engaged to somebody who is a complete douchebag. Like, did not treat her right, but they were high school sweethearts. But if you watch the show, you can tell that there's something brewing between Jim and Pam.
Yes.
All the flirting, and you can totally tell
the
that.
Innocent flirting.
Yes. And you can, it's like a slow burn romance.
Yes.
Because it kind of drags it on, and it kind of hooks you in where you're like, oh, just fucking get together already. Like, Pam, you're with this asshole. Like, and you have this beautiful man who's everything you want in front of you.
Yes.
But throughout the series, they've had chances to get together, but it was always the wrong time.
Yes.
So, she wasn't with that guy anymore, but Jim had already had a girlfriend at the time.
Yes. So
right?
They missed each other.
And so when the timing was finally right and they got together, it was like the happiest moment of my life. And I love it because throughout the whole series, Jim just always loved Pam.
Yes.
Always loved Pam. And I think one of the moments that I actually cried was when they got married.
Aww.
And he says this speech to her, and I literally like cried tears when he said it. So, they're at their wedding rehearsal, and he stands up and he says, 4 years ago, I was just a guy who had a crush on a girl who had a boyfriend. And I had to do the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, which was just to wait. And a lot of people told me I was crazy to wait this long for a date with a girl that I work with. But I think even then I knew I was waiting for my wife. I'm getting like goosebumps. It's just so beautiful. Like, if you haven't watched The Office, you need to do it, because words can't explain the dynamic between Jim and Pam and just how well they are together. Their sense of humor, the way that they flirt with each other. It's just, to me, one of my all-time favorite, best like TV love stories ever.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and it goes back to timing.
Timing, yes. Yeah, I believe
so important.
I believe in the universe. I believe the universe is doing right by everybody, whether it is to find your partner, your soulmate, or whether it is to help you find love within yourself and just love yourself.
Yes. So, listeners, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.